Hey guys, King Cheerio 85 here. So recently it's been making the rounds that Nintendo is planning to resurrect a dead and buried past project. Now, what this project is, we have no idea. Nintendo Insider seems to be under the impression that this has to be Scalebound. And the internet has mostly reacted to that as, I don't believe you, but you have my full support on that. So, with that being said, I figured this would be a nice way for me to do a top 10 video on my channel. So this is kind of like a top 10 wish list of what this mystery project could actually end up being. This is all just speculation and me wish listing at this point. With that being said, here is my top 10 potential resurrected video games that are not scale-bound for the Nintendo Switch. Number 10, Earthworm Jim 3. Now, I played a lot of Earthworm Jim on the Super Nintendo, and I played a little bit on the Genesis as well. And these were very solid action platformer games with a very humorous spin on them. Now, you just play as Jim, who's just regular Earthworm, but he's got this really awesome power suit. This power suit allows him to do a lot of things that regular Worm obviously couldn't. He can run, jump, he's got a gun, he shoots things. In the second one, he even had like this little sidekick snot, which allowed him to kind of just latch onto things. And a really, really cool mechanic. Now, they did try to bring this franchise into 3D on the Nintendo 64. Didn't turn out so well. But this would be a very nice chance for a revival for that, and I know there is a community for it that would really love it. I myself would love to play another Earthworm Jim game, as long as they tried to do kind of like a 2.5D at most, kind of like what they did with the Metroid, Metroid 2 Samus Returns, that kind of style going on. What they're doing with the Link to the Past, that kind of style. But yeah, I would love to see Earthworm Jim 3. Number 9, Banjo 3. Okay, now this one is, it's about as likely as anything. But Nintendo and Microsoft, they've had a pretty close working relationship this last year. So, I mean, here's hoping that this resurrected project is Nintendo being able to utilize these characters that have effectively been dead in the water since Microsoft bought out Rare. That would actually be pretty awesome, having a Banjo Kazooie game that was basically made from the ground up by Nintendo, or say Nintendo outsources a studio like Playtonic, or Retro, or whoever. They have a ton of. They have so many resources they could pull that are just specialized towards this type of thing. So we could end up getting that Banjo Kazooie game that we've been wanting for so many years, that Ukulele was so close to being. Me personally, I loved Ukulele, but it definitely had its faults. I loved everything about Ukulele until you got to the casino area, and then you just had this insane difficulty spike for no reason. Everything else was fun to play through. It was just, I don't like playing things that are hard for the sake of hard, which Banjo-Kazooie never was. Number 8, Alan Wake 2. Now this one was highly anticipated for me to come out, especially after playing through Alan Wake and all the DLCs, which, yeah, I really enjoyed that game. It's just basically kind of like a survival semi-action game, but very, very story-driven. Not something that you see a lot of. The whole flashlight mechanic I thought was just great, though the needing to scavenge for batteries every 5 seconds, that kind of got grating. Definitely not something that I think Duracell actually had their brand on that probably not something I would have wanted associated with my battery brand. The fact that every battery only lasts about 5 seconds, but hey, whatever. Number 7, Startropics III. Now, the Startropics, I've never played myself, but everybody I've talked to who's played either of those games really loves them, and from everything I've seen about them, they're just really fun, kind of Zelda-esque action-adventure games. They definitely seem to have they definitely seem to have a lot of mechanics that are a bit more similar to A Link to the Past from what I've seen. But if Startropics 3 ever did come out to the Nintendo Switch, I would hope they would also be accompanied with the first two games, maybe not in a package together, but at least have a release alongside it. I mean, I understand they were released on the Wii U store, but with any of these, I should hope that the previous games would also be made available on the Nintendo Switch store. Number 6, Mega Man Legends 3. Now, people have been asking for Mega Man Legends 3 for a very long time. There was gameplay footage shown for the Nintendo DS for Mega Man Legends 3, and then Capcom just canceled it. They felt that there wasn't enough good feedback from the fandom, and they just straight up canceled it. They didn't think it was going to be financially viable. But since the new Mega Man game came out, Mega Man's gaining a lot of good press, a lot of traction. There's a lot of attention being brought to that brand, and it'd be a good time to bring it back if they're going to resurrect it. So, hey, why not? Number 5, Mother 4. Okay. Now this is kind of a hard one for me to talk about a little bit because I love Earthbound so much, and it was so disappointing seeing all these articles about Mother 3 and like it was on the Game Boy Advance and it's coming on the Game Boy Advance, and it never came out in the United States. It never came out in the West. It never left Japan, and there's wasn't really any reason for it. I mean, yeah, sure, you can play it now. You can just play a ROM and get the English patch for it, which the funny story on that one, when that game was since they never really localized it, there was a group of fans that got together and they made an English patch for it. And they were upfront with Nintendo about this project straight from the get-go. They even sent a letter saying like, hey, we're doing an English patch for it. We're going to release it here soon. If for any reason you're going to localize this game, please, please send us that C and D. And Nintendo's just like, you know what, fuck it, whatever, do it, do what you want. We're not going to do anything with it. So we got an unofficial English patch for Mother 3. But I would still love to see Mother 4 brought to the Nintendo Switch. All right. I'd love to see Nintendo have any interest in the Mother franchise aside from just putting it in Smash. Like, that'd be great. Because like I said, I loved Earthbound, and I'm dying to play through it again. Oh god. 4, Super Mario RPG 2. Now, let's talk about something that really should have had a sequel by now, honestly, like a full-on sequel. Technically, you could argue that the Mario and Luigi and the Paper Mario series are sort of spiritual successors in a way to the Super Mario RPG, but not really. They're not full sequels. They're not just a straight sequel to it. There's still characters tied up in there that Nintendo technically doesn't really have access to. But with their new working relationships with some of these studios and some of these companies like Square or Enix, they might actually be able to do it. They might actually be able to bring out a brand new Super Mario RPG title, and that would be fantastic. I'd die. Like that would be the pinnacle for me, is just having another Super Mario RPG to play through. Now, these are not difficult RPGs. Well, I'm sorry, this was not a hard RPG in any instance. This was not like the hardcore. I don't even know what to describe it as. It was just a really nice, well-written adventure to be able to play through. and it, it had great dialogue, had great character moments. It was very well designed from the get-go, and it was just a shame we never got a full sequel to it. But like I said, still a chance, since Nintendo is got these new working relationships, even with Square Enix, because they're putting out Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, or not 8, so Final Fantasy IX out onto the Switch. Hey, you never know. Anything's possible at this point. Number 3, Beautiful Joe 3. Now, talk about a game I have been, I've been screaming for so long. I would love to play a new Beautiful Joe game, or even a game in that stuff. We haven't even got like a spiritual successor to it. This is something that's just been left by the wayside to rot, and it's so disappointing that nothing has been done to follow this up. I love the whole mechanics behind Beautiful Joe, the whole idea that your powers are based around special effects. Those are amazing. The ability to fast forward and deliver billions of, hundreds of hits in a second, and zoom in to double your damage, which you stack on with your slow-mo, which doubles your damage. That's amazing to me. And to be able to have that on the Switch, if they ever did put out Beautiful Joe 3 on the Switch, which again, Nintendo's working relationships would be a benefit there. They're like they're playing nice with all of their former publishers and stuff. They're playing nice with those guys, like Capcom and Platinum Games. It'd be amazing to see those three just be able to play along and get this game out there. And even like some HD re-releases of Beautiful Joe 1 and 2 for the Switch. Oh my god, I'd love to play that on Go. That'd be amazing. That'd be fucking amazing. Number 2, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 3. Now, this is kind of an iffy one, but I mean, hey, they were able to get the license for Marvel. There's no real reason why they wouldn't be able to finagle with EA Disney to be able to get a Star Wars game on the Nintendo Switch. Like, EA's been kind of looking at the Nintendo Switch for some Star Wars titles within the last year. They haven't done anything really, but they've been looking at it. So, but I mean, if anything should ever come out, then I feel that Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic 3. I can't even frickin' talk right now. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 3 would be a great one, and it'd be nice to see how that, because that one I vividly remember was originally billed as going to be a trilogy of games. That would be a perfect fit for the Nintendo Switch. Now, before I get to the number 1 spot, let's take a look at a few honorable mentions. First up is FZero. Now, we haven't had another one of these since the GameCube era, and that one was known for its blazing fast speed and blistering difficulty. New entry on the Nintendo Switch, being able to play on the go wherever you go, that could very much do well, and it'd be great to have another way to play with Captain Falcon aside from just in Smash. Prince of Persia. Now, the last true Prince of Persia game, I mean, the last 2 of them actually. There's Forgotten Sands, and then just the solo Prince of Persia on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Well, those both kind of sucked, honestly. I love the Sands of Time trilogy, and it'd be great if they could bring back the Prince of Persia franchise and find some way to make it relevant again. Now, these have always been really good, very good-looking games with awesome acrobatics involved, as well as just the whole avoiding traps mechanic behind it. All I could say is that that's something that's definitely missing from today's landscape of games. And last up for my honorable mentions is Gauntlet. I can't tell you how many hours of Gauntlet Legends and Gauntlet Dark Legacy like me and several buddies have played through. Single player experience is kind of dull, but get 3 friends with you, oh man, the mayhem. And now my number 1, Chrono Trigger / Chrono Cross 2. What do I really need to say about these games? Okay, so Chrono Trigger is a masterpiece. Chrono Cross, also a masterpiece. But they've never had a true sequel. It's always bothered people in the community. These are games which you basically have to, well, in Chrono Cross you travel across different dimensions and assemble a massive party of characters from across those different dimensions. And then Chrono Trigger, you're traveling across, you're traveling through different time periods and assembling a, fairly smaller party of characters from across those different time periods. And everybody has attacks that, can kind of intermingle and interact with each other. And you have these character moments of these people who have different scripts and everything dependent on who else is in your party and who they're talking to in the world. These were fantastic works of art from the time period, and it's just a shame that Square has never followed up with true sequels. And that's my number 1 pick for what I hope gets resurrected onto the Switch. So that was my list for the top 10 games that Nintendo could resurrect that are not Scalebound. So did your favorite franchise not make the list? Tell me about it in the comments down below. If you enjoy my content, please feel free to like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can check out past videos here, or you can click here to check out my newest upload. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to stay notified on all future videos.